You've had a good college football season when you can actually sit down and have conversations and present compelling cases on why X player deserves to win the Heisman Trophy, or why this player deserves to win the Heisman Trophy, or that guy, or maybe that guy, or this guy up top. Yeah, he also belongs there. And this season, there's roughly, I would say, about 7 or 8 names that could take home the distinguished honor, and not many people would have that big of a problem with it. If you are new, welcome into the channel. My name is Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, your pastor, your drunk uncle passed out in a Publix parking lot on game day about this channel. And as always, let's continue to talk college football. So according to FanDuel's betting odds, Bo Nix is the favorite to take home this year's Heisman Trophy, followed up by Michael Penix Jr. at Washington, and Jayden Daniels at LSU is number 3. Marvin Harrison Jr., the best wide receiver in the game, is at number 4. Carson Beck, the quarterback who took over for Stetson Bennett, is at number 5. And slowly but surely, Jalen Milroe, of all people, is at number 6. And then you have Jordan Travis at Florida State at number 7, J.J. McCarthy at number 8, Caleb Williams at number 10, and number 9, I think, is Dylan Gabriel. But do me a favor real fast. Go back to week 2, when Jalen Milroe throws 2 interceptions that leads to one of the very few losses underneath Nick Saban in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and then he's benched. And now tell yourself, oh, by the way, hey, the dude who gets benched and doesn't play and nearly watches his team lose to South Florida is going to have better odds than a quarterback who is on an undefeated team into November and maybe even is going to win an ACC title and play in the college football playoff. Crazy times. That's what we're living in right now. Now, who would I give the Heisman Trophy to right now? Plain and simple, I'd give it to Jayden Daniels. The kid is just getting better every single week. And I think that that's a huge testament to where we look at him from last year and how he's made that jump. And you have to realize Jayden Daniels was really kind of an afterthought. Like, nobody expected him to be the long-term solution in Baton Rouge. They need a veteran quarterback underneath the new regime of Brian Kelly. And when the news came out that an Arizona State passer was entering the transfer portal and going to LSU, many people were like, okay, that's fine, but we have Walker Howard coming in, and we have Garrett Nussmeier on the bench. And he not only beats Alabama last year, but he ends up having a pretty significant season, takes a huge step in the right direction in the offseason after getting a bowl victory and taking this team to 10 wins. And then also, now he's basically on fire, is the best way to put it. He has 6 300-yard passing games. He's had basically a wide receiver go off for 100 yards in every single game. He's already met his total when it comes to rushing, and he's led the team in rushing on 4 different occasions. Like, that's a Heisman. That's what we're talking about. That's a dude that you say, here, best player in college football, go ahead and sign at the bottom line. That's it. He has been absolutely phenomenal, and it's not his fault that he plays for a team that doesn't have a defense. I'm sorry. Like, that's only way that he is not going to win the award. And it's a shame because of what we're seeing here. I think it's really important to bring this up is there's never parity when it comes to winning the trophy. Because think about it for a second. Most years, what we see is a bunch of people that don't actually watch the game make a decision on who should win the Heisman. And 9 times out of 10, it's a player that's on a team in the playoffs. Whether it's at wide receiver, whether it's at quarterback, whether it's at running back, they usually pick the guy that's playing in December for much more than just bragging rights and a bowl win. And last year, they don't do that. They picked the best player in college football, which was Caleb Williams, and rightfully so. But they also did that back in 2010 when you had, or 2011 when you had Robert Griffin III at Baylor have 3 losses next to his name. So if we're going to keep it as fair as possible and keep it a buck, Jayden Daniels deserves to be in New York. He deserves to probably win the award at this point, but I'm not a voter, so I can't do anything about it. I can tell you right now, I think that he is more than deserving of it, and I think that a lot of people would actually be on my case. It's why I said on a couple videos ago, hi, just this little thing right here, make sure that we start having it be like the American Idol, where in American Idol, you would call into the show and you would vote on who advances. That should be the way the Heisman Trophy works, because we, the fans, are probably smarter than most of the voters. The betting favorite is Bo Nix, and I will say he's more than deserving of at least some credit. And a lot of it is the attentiveness to his ability just to play football his way. And I think that's really what stands out. Go back to Bo Nix when he was at Auburn. Like, everybody at Auburn knew he was a talented player. And when Gus Malzahn realized he had a quarterback at his disposal of this magnitude, it felt like a waste. And unfortunately for him, he never got the buy-in from the other coaching staff underneath Brian Harsin. So he goes and he reinvents his career up at Oregon with his former OC that really brought the best out of him when he was a freshman in Kenny Dillingham. And so far, he has been one of, if not the sole proprietor to why Oregon is playing at an elite level. He's not only the best passer when it comes to completion percentage in football, he ranks top 3 in total touchdowns if you include the rushing attack. His deep ball has gotten better. His accuracy has rapidly improved, as we can all agree with that one. But his touch on the football and the little traits that really stand out, that is what makes Bo Nix a stud. And now we're having to go back and eat a lot of crow and basically go, I said that, didn't I? Oh, no. Why did I do that? It's why college football takes. They're not stupid. And predictions, they're just predictions. You don't need to hold yourself accountable. But what's funny is he's definitely in the running. And if he does end up beating Washington in what will be the Pac-12's final hurrah of a conference title game, he's probably going to win it. And that's just the case because that's, again, another playoff team. But what's also funny is the guy that he has to go up against would potentially have 2 wins against Bo Nix, and that's Michael Penix. And Michael Penix is also a really intriguing case because the guy just couldn't stay healthy. Like with Bo, it was more so the production wasn't meeting the standard. With Michael Penix, it was, I had a really epic moment that basically it should be painted in the Sistine Chapel because if I die for the pylon. But that's about it. I can't stay healthy in Bloomington. And so he goes and reconnects with Kalen DeBoer, another offensive coordinator that he worked with. Funny how that works, right? That you find a coach that really stands out, that makes you a better player and makes you a better person. And when they get the opportunity, you go ahead and take it. And he took it and he ran with it. And in my opinion, he was running away with the Heisman at the very start of the season and still could run away with it at this point. He's the best passer when it comes to the deep ball. He has incredible, great accuracy. He has a cast of wide receivers at his disposal that soon will call Sunday home. And he's going to have the wins. And that's another thing that stands out. And I don't want to take that away from Jayden Daniels, and I don't want to give praise just to Michael Penix, but be real for a second. The guy right now is slinging it around the yard in Seattle and making it look easy. Not only that, he leads college football in passing yards. He's also top 10 in touchdowns. He's going to have games where he potentially goes off against Oregon, twice I might add in, an Oregon State defense that is fundamentally sound as all hell. He just had another 300-yard performance against a great Utah team, even though the defense did step up in the second half. So the numbers and the wins would justifiably say he's more than deserving. At the end of the day, Bo Nix is probably going to have better numbers, but then you have Michael Penix who has the wins. Carson Beck. Let's talk about him real fast. This is a quarterback that should be invited to New York, and it really sucks that this is a year that he can't win it. And I say that as much as kindly as possible because I do think that those are the 3 guys that are probably going to be the representatives. And if they do have a 4th, I hope Beck and Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of go into a swapping boxing match and see whichever one comes out on top. They get invited to New York instead. But Beck's been phenomenal this year. And what's really interesting is that a lot of people thought that when they got rid, or when Todd Monken left Athens and then Stetson Bennett went to the NFL as well, there was going to be a little bit of a drop-off. No. In fact, you can argue that this year, the reason why Georgia is playing at an elite level is not because of their defense. It's actually because of their offense, and their offense is clicking at the right time. But do me a favor, go look at Carson Beck's stat line over the last 4 games, and then come back and talk to me. Kid's phenomenal. 300-plus passing yards in every single performance. Yeah, he's had a few interceptions here or there. But the bottom line is that the reason why this team is so good is because of who is running the show under center. It's Carson Beck. Like, the kid is absolutely spellbounding. And it's a shame that, once again, this is a year where when you have great performances, some are going to be left unnoticed. I'm not unnoticing them, and I want to give as much credit as possible. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., let's just talk about him real fast. Basically, to win the Heisman Trophy as a wide receiver, you have to do what Devonta Smith did. And you have to do it basically every single week. And that's kind of like the standard of where we are. Like, that is the pecking order. Hey, you have a great year. Good for you. We're really excited to see what you do in the NFL. but how you only had 9 touchdowns or 11 touchdowns or 13 touchdowns. Yeah, Devonta Smith had more than that by half the way through the season. Oh, you had 1,800 receiving yards. Well, Devonta Smith had more than that by the end of the regular season and then went off in the playoffs. So, yeah, that's fair. And the reason why Devonta Smith also had such exceptional numbers, and I'm just going to lay this out here because I'm an Alabama grad and I remember this. You realize that Jaylen Waddle got hurt midway through the season. They were playing Tennessee, and then he gets hurt, and he's now out for the rest of the year. And so Mac Jones has one of two options. He can either keep it himself, trust the run game headlined by Najee Harris, or I'm going to go find Slim Reaper downfield. He's open. Screw it. Boom. And that's why his numbers were so inflated. But that's not to say that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not worthy of consideration. And honestly, there are multiple wide receivers that are deserving of consideration, in my opinion. I think Malik Neighbors deserves some consideration. I think Rome Odunze at Washington deserves some consideration because they've been exceptional this year and go-to guys for their teams. Brock Bowers even deserves some consideration. Probably not anymore because he got hurt, but you catch my drift here. Marvin Harrison Jr. not winning the Heisman Trophy does not mean he is not the most elite player in college football. In fact, the award's already flawed enough, but let's just keep it a buck for a second. If you had to start a team, just randomly start a team, you probably wouldn't pick Marvin Harrison Jr. because he plays wide receiver. But if you just needed one piece to make your team better, the first phone call you're making is to MHJ. That's 100% true. He's an elite route runner. Basically, every single ball that comes his way is catchable, even the ones that are 6 feet over his head. He finds ways to win at the point of attack, and he's a security blanket for whoever plays quarterback, whether it's CJ Stroud or Kyle McCord, or if Devin Brown has to come in. Oh, look at that. I got 18. The man single-handedly beat Penn State. And if you don't believe me, the final score was 20-12, 8-point differential, and Marvin Harrison scored 2 touchdowns. You don't have Marvin Harrison, you don't have a shot in that game, in my opinion. Because the defense of Penn State, as much crap as we're giving them right now, you realize held Ohio State to 1.9 rushing yards per play. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the difference maker. Penn State didn't have him, Ohio State did. So he absolutely is, in my opinion, the best non-quarterback in college football this season and has been for really the last 2 years. There's definitely some other names that you could consider without question. Jalen Milroe, again, guy gets benched after week 2, losing to Texas, and now he is on a warpath of basically taking out his anger on every SEC team, and he's damn good. Like, he is really good. I wonder what happened. Maybe when you have a quarterback that plays like that, you let him play his style. That's probably a pretty good start. Good for you, Tommy Rees, on making that change. I think Ollie Gordon deserves some love. Yeah, he has been absolutely great on a, I would say, average Oklahoma State team that's kind of hitting above the belt a little bit. He was one of the reasons why they won their last Bedlam series, and they'll have bragging rights over Big Bro Oklahoma for years on end. And he is one of college football's best running backs, just based off the way that he cuts, based off the way that he's in the open field. And also, the thing about Ollie Gordon, that if you go back and you look at his stat line, he gets better in the fourth quarter. Like, most players start to lose that steam. He's like, you just shook up a can of Coke and you're waiting for the right moment. And just right before you realize, I'll give it one more shake. Boom, fourth quarter, flying all across the football field. That's Ollie Gordon. He has been exceptional. Like I said, I think Malik Neighbors has been exceptional this year. I think Brock Bowers, if he's healthy, is maybe the first tight end finalist we've seen in God knows how long. But this is a year where the Heisman Trophy actually is going out to players that are more than deserving. And unfortunately, several names won't get it, even if they are deserving. That's kind of the harsh part about college football, right? But if you were to tell me a few years ago that Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., and Jayden Daniels, all who came as transfer quarterbacks, would be starters and probably front runners for the Heisman Trophy, would have called you foolish. College football, am I right? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.